Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up in our News tonight, the Free National Movement celebrates its 50th anniversary. More issues surrounding the Prospect Ridge development revealed. Plus, major plans underway to stabilize Bahamas Air. Welcome to our News, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Georgie O'Bain, topping news tonight. The Free National Movement celebrating 50 years at its annual church service today as they declared unity over the party as they gear up to head into their one-day convention next month. An emotional Dr. Hubert Minnis said it was an extraordinary privilege to serve as Prime Minister, receiving a standing ovation from the congregation as he delivered some of his final remarks as leader of the Free National Movement.
We all need God's grace. Where I have made mistakes, I ask for your forgiveness. I am not perfect, and I never will be.
Minnis asserting that he will remain loyal to the Free National Movement and will serve in any capacity that the party sees fit.
I will continue to serve in the House of Assembly as the Member of Parliament for Kalani. As a former Prime Minister, and whatever role is assigned to me, I will support the work of the opposition. To advocate on behalf of the Rayman people and to hold the government accountable.
Bishop Hewlin Hanna not holding back during his message to the party to let go of arrogance and to embrace humility.
We are so giddy with the desire to occupy offices that we forget that we ourselves should be subject to a higher authority. Hence the arrogance that accompanies so many who aspire to the halls of Parliament. If nothing else drives you on your face to humility, this should.
Hanna telling the party that its work is not done and it's now time to forge together in unity.
Your work in general is yet to be fully completed. Therefore, pick yourself up and go forward and do the people's business as an official, united opposition.
Former Cabinet Minister Ellsworth Johnson says he will run for chairman of the Free National Movement at the party's one-day convention next month. He says that the party needs a chairman who is articulate and eloquent and can help to regain the trust of the people. He spoke with our Kyle Joaquin.
I've always said this to the party, that the party deserves a chairman that's articulate, eloquent, charismatic, fully aware of the issues, both social, political, and economic, historical also, and is able to deal with those issues.
The race for chairman is also heating up as former F&M MP Ellsworth Johnson throws his hat in the ring. There is also speculation that former Golden Gates MP Michael Folks and former Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands could make a run for that post.
I've spoken with my family, my close friends, and my God. And if I decided not to do it, I'll let the Bayman people know that. But at this point, and I've even spoken to the persons who I know may be my opponents. I've extended the courtesy to tell the present chairman. I've told Michael Folks, and I was of the view that my good friend and mentor, Mr. Dr. Sands, was running. I told him that.
Johnson said the F&M's crushing defeat at the polls says a lot, and the party has a lot of inward looking to do.
bring trust, confidence, and faith back to the party for its supporters to want to participate fully, because what we saw in this election is one of the is historical in terms of voter apathy and not turning out, and we have to look at that to see what went wrong. And then we need a strategic analysis, an honest strategic analysis of the party.
As for the leadership race, Johnson wouldn't say who he will support, but did say this.
Normally, there's something that the leader does, and you saw that with Mr. Hubert Ingram. And so there are certain things within the party that we have to deal with behind closed doors, and we're going to deal with that.
Central Grand Bahama MP Iram Lewis plans to run for leader. It is believed Marco City MP Michael Pintard will offer himself as well. Either way, Johnson said he hopes it's all done respectfully for the betterment of the party and the country.
In treating with a former leader or former prime minister, you must be careful in what you do, that you don't denigrate the office. So whatever happens in terms of our leader, the Right Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, we will treat with it. So at the end of the day, he preserves his dignity whether he stays or goes, but the office of the Prime Minister is safeguarded so that all will respect it.
For Our News Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, more issues surrounding the proposed Prospect Ridge development coming to light as Minister of Housing JoBeth Colby Davis revealed that papers for the development never made it to the Ministry of Housing.
Everything was at the Office of the Prime Minister. So for the last couple of months, we had two ministry or departments of housing.
Oh, wow.
Nothing on Prospect Ridge was being managed by the then Minister of Housing. Absolutely nothing. I don't think he even knew what was going on.
Colby Davis making the shocking revelations while appearing on The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Davis says that she was advised by the company that received the contract to begin work on the development that they had only received the contract on September 7th, just 1 week before the general election.
That's how I knew for a fact there was no master plan, nothing done, because they came to me. And when they came to me, the letter was sent to them from OPM. So the Minister of Housing, who was sitting in the seat before me, had no oversight, nothing. And I think that just goes to show you the type of system we were living under.
Yeah.
I mean, this is dictator.
No process.
Fine is what you have Carmichael at Department of Housing, but you have Prospect Ridge. Or was this really so fake that you couldn't risk it getting into the hands of the real technical people at housing?
Once she received the papers from the Office of the Prime Minister, Colby Davis says she consulted housing officials. That's when she learned that several steps were skipped.
Does Prospect Ridge have subdivision approval? No.
Wow. Okay, so hold on.
Offering a subdivision without that approval.
To make matters worse, Colby Davis says several residents have come forward claiming ownership over the land.
First of all, the Department of Housing have to own the property. I have emails from two families that are saying, I'm not quite sure where you're putting this Prospect Ridge, but a portion of that property is conveyed to our family.
Wow.
So you have to do a search, a title search. First of all, you have to determine what all of that property is in the government's possession.
Well, Bahamas Air is putting a strain on government finances, according to Tourism Minister Chester Cooper, who described the current state of the national fly carrier as incredibly challenged. During the pandemic, the government subsidized the airline with $50 million.
Bahamas Air is an incredibly challenged organization. Financially challenged would be a mild statement. With no tourists coming throughout the pandemic, this has been a significant strain, if you will, in terms of government subvention. I anticipate that number is well in excess of $40 million. We'll give a communication to Parliament in relation to Bahamas Air. But suffice to say, we must find a model that works.
Cooper believes that there are ways to boost Bahamas Air's revenue now that travel to and from the Bahamas is on the rise.
I believe that there is an opportunity in the creation of a hub in Exuma to be able to use Bahamas Air for more international direct flights to places like Exuma and we'll be able to use small commuter airlines to direct traffic out of Exuma. But bringing direct flights from the main markets using Bahamas Air might be the way to go.
According to Cooper, once the official board appointments for Bahamas Air are made, he expects that to get the ball rolling on strategic plans that will benefit the tourism industry and the Bahamian people.
Very proud to have an airline that we call a national flag carrier. It's a great national treasure, but it comes with a price. And we must ensure that if we are spending such significant sums, we are seeing direct return on investment. If we continue to provide some subventions, we must therefore be able to use it strategically to bring tourists to our shores, to expand the aviation product, to advance the hub in Exuma, and to ensure that we are able to get more tourists out to the southern central Bahamas.
Still to come on our News Weekend, major changes on the way for the juvenile court system, plus vaccine hesitancy still a major factor. That's coming up when our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Chief Justice Sir Brian Maurice says he is not satisfied in the way that the juvenile court system is working. He says there needs to be major changes to certain aspects.
We're also very focused on the juvenile court. I'm not satisfied at the moment with the way in which the juvenile court is working. That's not because of any of the persons involved, but there are some systemic problems, and there's some issues with getting the juries and that are required for the coroner's inquests, and getting the panels which are required under the statute for the juvenile court. So we're looking at all of that to see whether we can improve our workflows and our production on the juvenile side.
For years, there has been a backlog in cases. The Chief Justice says that there is sufficient progress being made at the Supreme Court, but some challenges remain at the Magistrates Court.
We're also trying to improve our service platform, where we're trying to ensure that we are providing service to the Bahamian public and to the users of the court in line with best practices around the world. So I think we're doing quite well. We've made quite a lot of progress in the Supreme Court. The Magistrates Court is a bit more challenging, but we're trying to make sure that we reduce the cycle for the disposition of cases, both on the criminal side and on the civil side.
Despite what appears to be an increased number of residents signing up to receive their COVID-19 vaccine, President of the Consultant Physician Staff Association, Dr. Sabrika Pinder-Butler, says the vaccine hesitancy is still prevalent among Bahamians.
Fortunately, we still know that there are persons who are still having hesitancy. So we still think that the need for education and re-education is certainly there. We know that the vaccine will not necessarily stop a person from getting the virus. We know this. We know that it will not necessarily help 100% with death, but your chances of surviving are much higher. Your chances of living are much higher.
Pinder-Butler wants residents to consider these long-term effects that many experience even after surviving COVID.
But there are a lot of people who've had COVID who are not doing well. They've not fully recovered. You know, I know people who cannot walk. I know people that have not been able to return to work because they're still struggling months after. So besides the loss of life, we have a lot of people who have been severely impacted, which has impacted their livelihoods, their families, the life with their kids. All of these things are significant. Their memory, they have anxiety, still having difficulty with breathing months after COVID.
The CPSA president says she's encouraged by the increasing number of people opting to receive the jab.
I understand that more persons are trying to get the vaccine because, one, we're all hearing that there have been challenges with the supply, and two, a lot of persons want the vaccine for travel purposes. And we know that the deadline related to the US is fast approaching. And so, you know, you are going to obviously see more people coming. So the wait is going to be longer.
When our news weekend comes back from the break, the cast of Gombe kids have their eyes set on the stars, and a local business does its part in the fight against breast cancer. The details when our news weekend returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
You're watching our news weekend. Welcome back. Gombe Kids took Bahamian television by storm with its first season debuting in 2020. Now the second season is promising to deliver and develop the show into something Bahamians young and old can be proud of. Our Christina Dragovich tells us more.
The all-Bahamian cast and crew of Gombe Kids made a splash in 2020, not only highlighting young Bahamian talent, but showcasing it to the world. Creator and executive producer Stephanie Neon says the feedback on the first season has been tremendous, and she's excited to bring the second season to air.
We were so happy to involve more adult actors to also appeal to an adult audience. So we've got all your famous faces you know and love in the Bahamas, like Zeneo Newbold as Sarge, and Jaquay Adderley, and Sawyer Boy, Charlie Bahama, Leoneus, Rowena Poitier Sutherland, Leslie Ellis Tynes, you know, all of the faces that we've seen for so many years in entertainment here and know to love.
Leah Eneas is one of the adult actors on the show, made up of 46 crew and 86 cast members. She says she's excited to join the team that celebrates Bahamian talent of all ages.
I've been acting since I was her age, but mostly as far as it being important for Bahamian children to see this on television, as an actress and a creative, it's just so wonderful. I was only applauded when I was in international films, and it is wonderful to be applauded for a locally made in the Bahamas by Bahamians for Bahamians, and for the international market. But it is just that's why it's important for me personally and for them to see.
Kiara Jones, who plays the role of Aria, says there's a lot to look forward to this season.
My favorite episode was the Pirate Museum because we got to learn about many different pirates we never knew about, like Calico Jack and Bonnie and many more.
Who's your favorite pirate?
And Bonnie.
The stars of the show are undoubtedly the Gombe Kids.
We've already had kids work for Netflix by having a network credit on the show, which is huge. A lead role, 5 episodes. He was flown from Savannah Sound to Toronto. We had 3 kids get offered a Disney show as well. Not a show, a partner show. So it's really been amazing that it's gone above and beyond, I guess, just being a show.
Gombe Kids airs Mondays at 7 p.m. right here on RTV. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
In other news, a company is stepping up to help in the fight against breast cancer. Easy Payday Loans general manager making a donation on behalf of the company to the Sister Breast Cancer Group. General manager Ruthie Knowles.
One of our employees several years ago was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she has survived, thank God, and we thought to donate in a more tangible way rather than just wearing the pink shirts every year. So we decided, because of the great work that the Sister Support Group does with the emotional support as well as the free ports, that we would make a contribution this year.
President of the Sister Breast Cancer Support Group, Andrea Sweeting, says that the donation will go a long way, especially since the group couldn't host its annual fundraiser this year due to COVID.
During the pandemic, we were unable to have our fundraisers, which is the actual prayer breakfast, and so with other persons coming on board to help us through this, we are truly grateful. One of the things is that what we do with the funding is to buy the porta cats, which we actually distribute to persons who are unable to afford them for themselves. These pots cost $500 or more. And we provide the needles for the actual transfusion of the chemotherapy.
Shipping difficulties are making it difficult to get those necessary ports in, but Sweeting is grateful for partnerships that are making it possible.
We need the funding. We don't want to turn anybody away. And I'm not sure. The Guardian did have in this morning too that Ports International, where we get the ports from, they're having a difficulty with bringing them in because their supplier apparently has a problem as well. And so it's giving us the same sort of problems. But we must say thanks to them because even when it first started, they gave us a line of credit. So we were able to get the ports and then have it given to persons. And then as soon as we get a donation in, we could actually pay them.
When our News Weekend comes back from the break, we highlight those unforgettable moments in news. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
It's time to take a look at some of the most memorable quotes and moments in news this week. The first quote comes from SuperValue Chief Financial Officer Deborah Simonette, who confirmed serious price hikes are on the way.
Shipping is a major role player in the cost of goods, so naturally if there's an increase in shipping prices, there's going to be an increase in the price of our items. However, what we're doing is trying to order as much as we can before the prices go up at the supplier level, and therefore we'd be able to offer our customers the goods at that lower price for as long as we can. So we're hoping to be able to supply customers with these goods at least until Christmas.
The second quote comes from irate residents who endured steamy weather conditions to get their COVID-19 jabs this week.
No communication. There's two gentlemen out there shouting numbers, and some of them even confused with the numbers shouting. They're mixing up the numbers, and it's causing a lot of confusion with the people. And people are getting tired and walking away and leaving.
I've been here now for about 3 hours, and it's unorganized because a lot of people coming in and they get frustrated. Some people are leaving.
Here, I say to myself, I'm here, right? I said, why not write it out and let's see how it goes.
And the third quote comes from Housing Minister JoBeth Colby Davis, who dropped a bombshell this week that there was no plan for the well-touted Prospect Ridge development for young Bahamians.
There's been no feasibility study and no topography study to actually provide us with the lay of the land, what lumps and bumps presently exist and how we would have to fill it in. And so we are not in a position yet to determine the infrastructural cost. We think it will be great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Georgie O'Bain, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.